22 grand. Can you believe that? That's what the average middle-class household will lose over a lifetime because of tariffs. It's a staggering number, isn't it? And right now, one of those tariff dollars just left your wallet. Don't believe me? Let's chase it. Let's see exactly where it goes. You just picked up a shiny new power drill, maybe for a weekend project, at your local hardware store. It cost you 40 bucks. But here's the kicker. Hidden inside that price, tucked away like a secret ingredient, is a 25% tariff. That's a tax the importer had to pay up front, right at the dock, before the drill even saw the light of day in a U.S. warehouse. The store didn't just add it on later. No, this cost was baked in, an unavoidable part of the price tag long before that box ever hit the shelf. It's already part of your purchase. So, where does that dollar go next? It travels from the importer, perhaps a mid-size firm in Ohio that specializes in tools, straight to U.S. Customs. They don't hesitate. They wire that tariff payment directly. And here's a common misconception. Many think a foreign exporter just swoops in to cover it, absorbing the cost on their end. But studies consistently show that import prices, before any tariff is applied, barely budge. Foreign producers aren't lowering their prices to offset this tax. So, that dollar, it's not staying overseas. It's now officially Uncle Sam's. Once it lands inside the U.S. Treasury, your dollar joins billions, sometimes even trillions, in tariff revenue. It's a massive pot, really. This money can do a few things. It might patch up a tiny bit of the federal debt, maybe fund a new road project in some distant state, or perhaps it just sits in the general fund, the very same place your hard-earned income tax money goes. On the surface, it feels harmless enough, doesn't it? Just another dollar in the government's coffers. But trust me, the journey's only half over, and the real story is just beginning to unfold. You'd think foreign sellers wanting to keep their market share would drop their prices to stay competitive in the U.S. market, right? But mostly they don't. Why? Because they often have their own costs and profit margins to protect, and global demand means they don't have to drastically cut prices for one market. So the exporter keeps its pre-tariff price, loads the container, ships it, and moves on to the next order. There's no big trade war on their end to absorb your dollar. The tug of war for that dollar ends rather quickly. The U.S. side, meaning you and American businesses, takes the strain. Back home, that Ohio importer is now facing a tough choice. They've already paid that 25% tariff. Do they raise the shelf price of the drill, making it more expensive for you, the consumer, or do they eat the cost themselves? If they raise the price too much, shoppers might just walk away, looking for a cheaper alternative or simply deciding against the purchase. If they absorb it, their profit margins, which are often razor-thin to begin with, vanish. It's a lose-lose scenario. So what happens? Many businesses split the pain. They trim overtime hours for employees, delay planned hires, or shave profits, effectively treating the tariff as a tax on their capital. That single tariff dollar just became a significant payroll headache, or a postponed expansion impacting real people and real jobs. Either way you slice it, you, the consumer, end up paying. If sticker prices jump, it's obvious. You see the higher number, you feel the pinch. But if wages stay flat or even stagnate because the firm is scrimping to cover those tariff costs, it's a stealthier, more insidious hit. It's a hidden tax on your income. Either route leads to the same outcome. Household budgets shrink, and who feels it most acutely? Lower-income families. Why? Because basic necessities, which are often subject to these tariffs, claim a much bigger slice of their already tight paycheck. It makes everyday life just that much harder. Now, imagine this scenario, not just for one drill, but layered across thousands of products, from washing machines to car parts, steel to solar panels. The economic ripples are significant. Long-term studies show that tariffs like these can cause the U.S. GDP to slip by about 0.6%. That doesn't sound like much, but it translates to a huge loss in national wealth. And wages? They can drop by as much as 5% for the average worker. The Congressional Budget Office, for instance, meticulously counts the Ohio firm's reduced investment, and it counts your smaller spending. Slowly but surely, the entire economy quietly sheds output, meaning less innovation, fewer opportunities, and a generally slower pace of growth. It's a drag on the whole system, impacting everything from worker productivity to business expansion. Still think tariffs are just some foreign problem, something that happens over there? Think again. Drop your take in the comments below, and if you want to keep seeing where your tax refund or any other dollar really ends up, hit that subscribe button. But the story doesn't end there. Our trading partners aren't just sitting idly by. They often respond with their own duties, their own tariffs on U.S. exports. Suddenly, American soybeans destined for overseas markets face new taxes, or perhaps that fine Kentucky bourbon becomes more expensive for international buyers. Now, an exporter in Iowa who sells those soybeans loses sales. Their workers clock fewer hours, and another tariff dollar, this time from a different country, winks out of someone's paycheck on the opposite side of the ledger. It's a tit-for-tat game, and U.S. farmers, manufacturers, and their employees often bear the brunt of these retaliatory measures, creating a complex web of economic pain. So, are there any winners in this game? Well, domestic competitors that make drills stateside might gain a temporary price cushion. With imported drills costing more, their products become relatively cheaper. Some might expand, a few jobs might appear in those specific sectors. But here's the crucial point. Virtually every comprehensive study shows that these localized gains are significantly outweighed by the widespread losses. For every single steel job that might be saved by a tariff, downstream industries, think car manufacturers, construction companies, appliance makers, end up losing many, many more. The benefits are concentrated and small. The costs are dispersed and enormous. So, let's trace that single tariff dollar of yours one last time. It's done a full loop. From your wallet, through the importer, into the Treasury, maybe funding a road crew, perhaps helping a bondholder. But the fundamental truth remains. It was always funded by higher store prices you paid or lower wages you earned. The foreign factory, as we saw, largely kept its price the same. You, the American consumer and worker, ultimately kept the bill. It's a cost that never really leaves our shores. Follow the money, and tariffs look less like a protective wall and a lot more like a boomerang. They fly out as a well-intentioned or perhaps misguided policy. But then they smack U.S. firms and shoppers squarely in the face before landing right back in Washington as revenue. What's left in their wake? Fewer jobs, slower economic growth, and that $22,000 you'll never see over your lifetime. So next time you grab that power drill or any other product, remember, the real power tool isn't in your hand. It's the price tag, and it's quietly tightening its own screws on your wallet, your wages, and the economy as a whole.